and Rowena versus, like, John Winchester. Like, those are the two.
Or
like, you
Metatron.
and you, like, love Crowley and Rowena, but they're bad, and sometimes you want to punch them. But you love wanting to punch them because they're such good, fun characters, versus people like John Winchester who you just want to punch because he's an awful person.
Sucks, yeah.
But, like, listening to Dean be like, Dad's an ass. Like, he literally, the last thing he told me was to kill you, so fuck him. Yeah. And I was like, good job, Dean. Way to acknowledge your trauma.
Exactly.
I know.
And then Sam says that he could become anything, and even now, everyone around him dies. And we have known for a while now that Sam has been feeling like he's cursed. He told Sarah in Providence last season that, like, he's starting to suspect that he is cursed and that people around him die because of him. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, that's not getting any better, given recent events.
Yeah, no.
I like to think, like, you know, like, people joked in the fandom about Sam being cursed. Like, anyone who sleeps with Sam dies. Like, that was a fandom joke for a long time.
There's something in his seed.
But, like, no, I think there's some, I think, like, with the Chuck thing, like, with Chuck being Chuck, I think that that's I think that makes, like, Sam being cursed canon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, as a canon thing. But Dean insists that he is not dying, and neither is Sam, but Sam keeps insisting that Dean is the only one that can do this, even though we've already seen that Dean can't do it.
Yeah.
It's only been, like, 2 months in, like, Showtime. It's only been 2 episodes in, like, actual, like, outside, like, our time since Croton, where Dean, like, should have killed Sam and didn't.
Yeah.
But Sam keeps insisting that Dean do it, and finally Dean's just like, yes, I promise. Shut up and go to bed.
You can see that he's, like, Jensen, Jackals, Mr. Ackles. The way sometimes he's able to, like, just act with his eyes is crazy. Because you can you can see Dean being like, hey, look, just go with it. He's so wasted. He's probably not going to remember it in the morning. Like, there's no way he'll remember even asking you to do this. So just say whatever you gotta say to get him to go to sleep and rest and take it up and sleep it off. And you can see that happening, and then Dean just being like, okay, I promise. And then getting him, and then he's finally like, once Sam is in bed, he's like, okay.
Yeah. Like, I know some people don't find Jared to be like a great actor.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel that way. I think that Jared's a perfectly fine actor. Yeah. I just think that, like, when you're comparing like Jensen and Misha to anybody, like, you're comparing apples to oranges. Like, it's not the same thing. It's not fair to Jared that he spent 15 years with Jensen and Misha, like, who are just in a whole nother class.
Misha's like classically fucking trained. Like, it's insane to me.
Like, I don't know, I think that you're just born able to do what Jensen just did with his eyes there. Like, I don't think it's fair to be like, oh, like, one's not as good of an actor as, you can say, like, oh, like, one's not as good as the other, but, like, it's unfair to say, like, Jared's a bad actor because he can't do that.
Yeah, Jared has his shining moments. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Like I was saying before, he's very good at, like, the subtle crying that Sam does quite often on the show, where it's like or trying not to cry, like, making it look like he's trying not to cry. He's very good at that kind of thing.
Sam is my, like, absolute baby. I love Sam so.
Literally, I get so pissed because there's so many people who are, like, stan Destiel, and they hate Sam, and I'm like, where are all the people who shit?
We can have both.
¿Por qué no las dos? Like that taco commercial. Like, why can't we just do both? Like, we can have our cake and eat it too sometimes. You know what I mean? Yeah. God. Okay, anyway,
back to the scene. Sam, like, manhandles Dean's face a little bit because he's drunk. Yeah. Like, he's trying to do, like, a face, like, cupping moment, but he's just, like, too drunk to do it. So
his hands just kind of land on Dean's face, and it's, like, good enough.
On his face, in his mouth, and then Dean just, like, drops him on the bed.
Yeah.
Sam's also a stomach sleeper, which I find very endearing.
He, like, he gets so cuddly, actually. It's actually, like, that's my baby girl, do you know what I mean? Like,
it does make me feel a little bit weird, because when we saw Sam and Jess in bed together, they were sleeping, like, back to back. Like, Sam was sleeping on his side, they were back to back, like, they were not facing each other, and then, like, now he's, like, in the bed by himself. He's, like, a stomach sleeper, and this is not the first time we've seen it, but he got comfy.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if, like, maybe it was, like, either Jess or Sam just, like, didn't like being touched while they sleep, which I find totally valid. I don't like to be touched.
Yeah.
I like to be cuddled when I want to be cuddled, and then when I want you to stop, I don't want you to touch me anymore.
Yeah.
I would wake up every single time the other person moved if they were touching me, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dean decides to take a little wander through the hotel, and he ends up in the bar, and Sherwin is theirs, which is why I was like, did Sherwin just overserve Sam? But Sherwin pours him a drink, and they chat about the dead people who've died lately in the hotel, and he's
just
like...
casual bartender chatter.
He's like, every hotel has its blood.
That's really weird wording, by the way. For him to have nothing to do with the supernatural aspect of the show, and for him to just be like, every hotel has its blood. Like, that's really weird to me. Like,
very, very Scooby-Doo-esque, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Dean says he'd love to hear more stories about the hotel, and Sherwin is like, yeah, I'd love to tell you some stories. Old men, we like talking.
Yeah, he's literally like, I'm old. Let's go tell stories. And Dean's like, sure, I guess. Like...
Then they're like on the stairs, and he's like, I've never really had a home. And I'm like, baby...
And he says it so casually, too. I'm like, honestly...
Sherwin's like, Rose, the grandmother that they weren't allowed to see, was, like, born at the hotel. She lived her whole life there, and now she's going to a senior living facility. And she also had an unnamed nanny who's a black woman, and she's wearing a 5-spot, just like they saw earlier.
No, the nanny's name is Marie.
Oh, her name's Marie? Sorry, I did not catch her name. I was like, wow, they didn't name her? That's a little bit...
Sus.
Okay, her name's Marie. That's good to know, because, yeah, she provides some important...
She's a very important, even though she's just a picture, she's very important to the storyline.
Yeah. Important plot element there. Cut to morning, and Sam is hungover, and he is suffering.
Literally on his deathbed.
Yeah. Dean is, like, just reveling in Sam's suffering, like, a true Big Brother fashion. This is, I have a younger brother, but this is exactly how he would act if I was hungover.
Oh, yeah.
Also, okay, here's the thing about this scene, though. That is, I'm sorry, you're never gonna unknow this. Sam's cast is on the wrong arm in this scene, and I cannot understand how this would happen.
This is a question that I meant to ask. I think I missed it in the recap. Why does Sam have a cast on his arm, or was that just Jared being dumb like he is later in the show?
Sam's Jared broke his arm when they were filming episode 3 of this season.
Oh my god.
So since episode 4 of this season, he's had a cast on, which is why I cannot fathom that this mistake would have been made, because even if they like went back and shot this after the cast came off, did Jared forget which arm he broke?
Well, it is mirrored, but even in the mirror, his cast is on the wrong arm.
It's on the wrong arm. And I think it's because of like where the door is for the bathroom. Like, because he's like leaning on one arm, and then the cast arm is the one that's like down. And I think if he had the cast on the other arm, then like it would be blocking his face. Like, so I get why, but like how? Just like reconfigure the bathroom.
Cast, then, like, why did I can't.
I'm like, how did this happen?
Jared Padalecki, stop injuring yourself, and
like
that's not very girl boss.
If it was like if Sam had a broken arm and it wasn't really broken, but like this is Jared's actual arm is broken, so how did they screw this can't be like a mistake. Like, it's not like Jared just forgot which arm he broke. Anyway, Dean's new theory is that Rose learned hoodoo from her nanny Marie, and they're going to break into her apartment and talk to her.
Which, great idea. Like,
I mean, she's just doing hoodoo and killing people, so like, why don't you just confront her directly? There's like a bunch of like lingering shots on dolls in this episode.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
So we get another one.
There was all this part in the scene where Dean says, like, hey, I bet you don't remember anything from last night, do you? And Sam says no, and you can see Dean be like, oh, thank God. Like,
which is a lie, because later in the episode, Sam fully remembers everything.
Yeah, but like, that was such a good moment for Dean, because he was like, because you could totally tell that, like, when he said that, he didn't mean it. And then, because he thought that Sam would forget, and then Sam forgets, and he's like, all right, my plan worked. No, I'm home free.
Yeah, Sam's not gonna hold me to that horrible thing I said I would do. Grandma Rose has suffered a stroke recently, and she's entirely unable to speak, and hoodoo is too hands-on for a recent stroke patient.
And honestly, for this scene, like, all I wrote in my notes was, at what point do you run? Because, like, that was for something else too, but also this scene, because, like, they walk out and this woman is, like, not moving, and it's just, like, also,
like, this poor woman.
Given the doll setting, like, at what point do you just dip? I wrote that about something else, but I think it also kind of applies to this scene, not as much.
This poor woman is sitting up here, she's, like, in, like, the attic, just, like, hanging out up here, and, like, there's, like, no no medical equipment or anything, and like she can't speak, she clearly can't move very well. Like, what kind of quality of life is she having here?
Yeah.
Like, no wonder they're moving.
Yeah, that could explain some of the end of the episode too, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
Susan finds them up there and she's like, pack your bags and get the hell out of here, which is a very reasonable response. This is like one of the most reasonable responses we've had to the Winchesters being somewhere that they're not supposed to be.
Yeah, but she gives them 2 minutes. I was like, come on, give them 5.
I mean, they're fast packers. They can be up into.
Yeah. I mean, they were, I guess. But like...
And then Tyler and Maggie are playing jacks together on the landing. And again, what year is this supposed to be?
Literally, that's 2000... Like, this was filmed in 2006, released in 2007. Where are the Polly Pockets?
Where are the Hot Wheels?
Where are the Hot Wheels? Where are the Legos? Like, where are the normal
jacks?
7-8-year-old toys? Like, who played... I never played jacks, ever. I don't think as a kid.
Maybe
I did, but I was
played
younger.
it like a couple times as a kid, but like
but
barely.
It wasn't like a staple game that I just had in my house constantly. Like,
I feel
that
like
was like you're at the YMCA after school program and you need a toy and the jack set is only missing 2 jacks today instead of 5, so you play jacks. Like, that's what it is. It's not like something you do for funsies at the top of your stairwell at home like these girls were doing. And I was like, I can't.
I feel like the writers were just like, what did we do when we were 7? Let's do that.
Yeah, like
no, the 60s were different than today.
How old do you guys think Tyler's supposed to be? We don't find out in this episode.
I think she's like between 7 and 9, maybe 8.
Yeah,
that's
somewhere around there.
She looks very small.
Yeah.
The actress is 10. I looked up how old the actress was.
Okay.
But I was just curious because we don't find out, and I was like, how old is this girl?
Yeah.
It does kind of matter later how old she is because I have things. But anyway, they're not for right now. Susan comes in and is like, you should be packing up. You know, we're moving. And Tyler's like, I don't want to move. Maggie says we're not allowed to move. And Susan's like, does like I think like the worst thing that parents can do, which is be like, Maggie's imaginary, do what I say.
Yeah.
I totally get like she's just having a moment of like she just like had to deal with the Winchesters like creeping on her mom, and she's just like stressed, and now her kids like not listening to her. Like she's just frustrated for like a minute, but like I just think there's something about like being like your imaginary friend's imaginary that was just like very ouch.
Yeah.
So the first time I watched this episode, I didn't like the dolls coming in, so I didn't like pay too close of attention to it. And when the mom said Maggie was imaginary, I was like, what? You don't have 2 daughters? Wait, what?
I feel like that too. It's hard to remember like now because I've seen this episode so many times and like I know everything. But yeah, it feels like that was a twist the first time.
Yeah.
It's a twist for the Winchesters. They didn't realize that there wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Maggie then says she doesn't like Susan, and I'm like, Susan, girl, you in danger.
I was like, Susan is the next one dead. Alas, she was not. But I really thought, though.
It was close. Susan is putting some things in the car, and Sherwin leaves, and Tyler is just moved from playing with the jacks to playing with the dollhouse when the swings start moving, and then cut to Susan outside where the swings are also moving. This scene goes on for way too long.
Literally, I was wrong in my notes. This was when I was like, at what point do you just run?
Why are you approaching?
Why are you standing there as more and more toys, outdoor metal toys, move unprompted?
Both of them. Tyler's standing there in the dollhouse, all the pieces are moving, and like, wow, this dollhouse is fancy. Like the little like merry-go-round thing moves and everything.
Like, just as a kid, if I was in that situation, if I was 7,
why
8,
are you not
9,
running
10,
outside
whatever,
to find your mom?
I would have literally stopped the swings. Like, my hand would have reached out, just grabbed the swings and been like, why are these moving? That's weird. And I would have just stopped that. But she doesn't. Tyler just stares like an innocent bystander.
Susan walks up and puts her hand on the seesaw.
Stupid.
Like, just run away. Like, things are moving on their own.
Yeah.
There's a problem. Get out of there.
Yeah.
But it's a very long scene. And then Susan's car starts itself and tries to run her over, but Sam comes out of fucking nowhere and saves her life. Where was he?
Where was it? Like, there's no explanation as to where they
Did they just like drive around the block and come back? Like,
I really think that they were like, they like drove somewhere
hit
and
the
hit
car.
the car and then they like hung out in the bushes or something. But also, fucking Sam and Dean, things are moving on their own. Why did it take the car almost running her over for you to appear out of nowhere? Honestly, I think it was just to try to build tension in the scene. Whatever.
I think so too.
I don't know. But like, it should have been shorter. Like,
oh, I agree. This was so long. It did give us like few close-ups of Tyler's face, and I was like, she looks vaguely familiar. And the actress is Matreya Matreya Fedor, and she was on this show called Mr. Young that used to be on when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
And she played the main love interest, Echo. I think her last name was Zigglesworth. It started with a Z for sure. She hasn't been in like a ton of things. And then like while I was there, I was like, well, might as well look up Maggie too. That actress is Conchita Campbell, and she was probably pretty recognizable when this episode actually came out in 2007. She was in the 4400 from 2004 to 2007, and she appeared in 43 episodes, so like that's a lot. So she must have been a like somewhat main recurring character in that.
The woman, did you look up the woman who plays Susan? Because she was on the Vampire Diaries for a hot second.
I knew that she was on the Vampire Diaries. I don't know anything else that she's been in. I haven't watched the Vampire Diaries.